Good afternoon. This is the City of Long Beach Zoning Administrator meeting for August 25th, 2025. We'll go ahead and hold off and make sure that the one hearing items applicants are able to join, and then we will start this meeting. So please stand by shortly. Okay, so it does appear that the applicants and some individuals from the public were able to join successfully, so we can go ahead and get started and formally start the meeting. So once again, good afternoon. This is the City of Long Beach Zoning Administrator meeting for August 25th, 2025. If you are here for this meeting, you are in the right place, and I will be calling today's ZA meeting to order. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the Community Development Planning Bureau website, along with meeting minutes at the conclusion of today's meeting. My name is Marianne Cronin. I'm the Zoning Administrator Hearing Officer for today. And as a reminder, the Zoning Administrator is a minor public hearing process for items that do not rise to the level of Planning Commission or City Council as set forth in the zoning regulations. This is not as formal of a process as Planning Commission or City Council, but still a public hearing and will follow a public hearing format with rules of order, which I'll go over shortly. I will be the hearing officer today and will run the hearing. I do ask that you address all your questions and comments through me only. If I need somebody else to answer a question, I will ask them to answer the question with the response directed to myself as the hearing moderator. There should be no dialogue between two parties as everything runs through myself as the officer. There will be no chat in the Zoom meeting platform we are using today. If for some reason the chat is turned on, please do not use it to enter your comments on the item. There's only there for audiovisual help. All comments on projects should be given verbally or have been provided in writing or email prior to today's hearing. Now I'll give a brief overview of the format of today's meeting. I will announce each item. Today we only have one item on the hearing reminder, and the project planner will be announced as shown on the hearing reminder. The project planner will give a brief presentation and staff recommendation, and the hearing officer will have an opportunity to direct questions to the staff and applicant, and then open the item up for public comment. After public testimony on the item, I will ask any follow-up questions of staff and the applicant, and then render a decision. For public comment, please confine your comments to the facts relevant to the hearing item at hand. When I call for public comment on an item, this will be your one opportunity to speak. So if you do want to speak on this item, please make sure to follow the instructions from the staff host. There is not a chance for follow-up comments or questions and answers later. So please make the most of your time if you're here to give comments on the item. And just as a reminder, most of the decisions made at the zoning administrator level are appealable to the Planning Commission. If you do wish to file an appeal, you must have established aggrieved status by providing written or verbal comments on the item, and then contact the project planner to file an appeal and pay the required fees within 10 days of today's hearing. You cannot pre-appeal any item, and any comment submitted up into and including today's hearing is not an appeal. Today, we have one regular business item for today's hearing. There will be a 3-minute time limit for public speakers. And with that, we can call the first item for a administrative use permit at 414 Cherry Avenue, which will be presented by project planner Cara Dent. Cara, if you're ready, please give a presentation. Cara, we can see your screen, but I'm not sure if you're still on mute.
Thank you, Madam Zoning Administrator. Before you is an administrative use permit for a new tattoo shop at 414 Cherry Avenue. The project site is located at 414 Cherry Avenue, and the site is in the CNP zoning district with a land use place type designation of neighborhood serving centers or corridor low density, NSC-L. Both CNP and NSC-L envision and encourage commercial uses. The parcel is 7,250 square feet in size with a 2-story commercial multi-tenant building with a proposed use occupying 624 square feet in red. The previous use was a beauty shop, and the surrounding uses are commercial along Cherry Avenue with residential beyond. Here is a street level view of the project with the proposed use bordered in red. The proposed use is for a tattoo shop in an existing commercial tenant space. The proposed use requires an administrative use permit due to this use being within 700 feet from a public or private elementary school. As you can see here on this buffer map, the project site is approximately 350 feet away from Luther Burbank Elementary School, which is why an AUP is required. The use is approximately 1,040 feet away from the nearest existing tattoo shop to the west, shown here. The applicant is requesting an administrative use permit for primary massage use with 2 workstations. The tenant space is a 624 square foot space that was previously a beauty shop. This site is located within an Assembly Bill 2097 area, which prohibits local jurisdictions from imposing parking minimums on commercial uses when located in defined high-quality transit areas, and the proposed business is called Therapy Inc. In this slide, you will see the proposed floor plan showing a reception area, 4 massage rooms, and a break room. The proposed business will operate from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday with a total of 5 employees. The services provided include tattooing. The duration of each appointment varies based on the complexity of the tattoo design, so there is no standard length of an appointment. Longer appointments reduce the total number that can be scheduled in any given day. Positive findings can be made for the proposed use with the following applicable findings. The NSC-L place type allows for commercial uses in close walking proximity to residential. The CNP zoning district allows tattoo parlors by right, subject to Chapter 21.45.166 of the zoning regulations. This business is within 700 feet of a school, so the AUP is required. Use is located along a busy corridor with many other commercial uses and is not anticipated to be detrimental to the surrounding community. Conditions shall be placed on the project such that window clearance, lighting, security, and maintenance. Use is approximately 1,040 feet from the nearest tattoo parlor, and while the use is within 700 feet from a school, the site is not in direct sight of the school. The proposed use is not anticipated to be detrimental to the surrounding community with the imposed conditions of approval. Green building standards are not applicable to the proposed use, but it will need to comply with current code requirements. To ensure that the use remains compatible with the surrounding community, compliant with the zoning regulations, and reduce the probability of nuisances, conditions of approval have been placed on the project, such as the following. The project needs to provide security cameras. There will be no exterior security doors. They will need to keep the coverings uncovered as they are now on site. ID checks will need to be performed. Non-conforming signage shall be removed. Hours of operations will need to be posted. And the conditions of approval will need to be signed off on as employees are hired by the business. Noticing was completed for this project, as is required in Chapter 21.21 of the zoning regulations. And as of today, no letters of support in general for support or otherwise for the project have been received. The project qualifies for a categorical exemption per section 15301, which is the existing facilities section of the California Environmental Quality Act. Based on the analysis and presentation, staff recommends accepting the categorical exemption and approval of the administrative use permit for a new tattoo shop within an existing tenant space at this location, subject to the conditions of approval. The project qualifies for the categorical exemption 15301 discussed in the previous slide. And again, noticing was completed, and as of today, no notices have been received. This concludes the staff presentation. Staff is available for questions. Thank you to both the applicant and the business owner for being here today. The applicant's name is Derek Burnham and the business owner's name is Cassandra Aguilera. Thank you.
Thank you, Cara. As far as current questions, thank you for the thorough presentation. I just want to understand for the location of the school to the proposed tenant space. Can you bring up that slide? And so I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. It's about 2 blocks away from one another, and there are intervening land uses between the two uses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And then this, the floor plan, if you can go to that, there are only 2 stations in the 600 or so square foot space, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I think that's the only questions I have. Thank you for going over noticing and the CEQA determination. I don't have any questions at this time. We can go ahead and open it up for the project applicant. Jade, if you can please give the instructions on how to unmute themselves for the applicant.
Yes, it looks like Derek, you have been unmuted. Well, I'm sorry, you have access to speak, so you'll just need to unmute yourself. You should see it on the screen.
Okay, I think I've unmuted myself. So we don't have too much to add to the presentation. I think, as you said, Cara was very thorough. We just did want to thank her for all of her work on this. We believe this is going to be a big, good fit for the Retro Road neighborhood. I think the only clarifying thing I would add is that a majority of the services will be provided by appointment, so there will not be a lot of walk-in traffic to this site. So just wanted to make sure that was clarified. We've also reviewed the conditions of approval and have no issue with them and are in agreement with them as written. And happy to answer any questions that you might have, and the business owner is here as well, and she can help as well to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure, Cassandra, did you have anything else to add while you have this opportunity to speak?
No, I believe they were both pretty thorough with everything.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you both. With that, we can go ahead and open the item for public comment portion of this hearing item.
If you wish to make a public comment on this item and you are joining virtually, please use the raise hand function. If you are joining telephonically, please press *9 so that you may be unmuted and you will have 3 minutes to speak. And once again, if you wish to make a public comment on this item and you are joining virtually, please use the raise hand function. If you are joining telephonically, please press *9 so that you may be unmuted and you will have 3 minutes to speak. So there appears to be no public comment on this item, Miriam.
Okay, thank you. So in closing the public comment portion of this item, I do recognize that tattoo parlors are typically a by right use as long as they can meet the special development standards. When we do have tattoo parlors come through the AUP process, it's due to one, proximity to another tattoo parlor, or proximity to a public elementary school or private elementary school. In this case, the latter, um, a school is within the 700-foot buffer, but in looking at the slide that showed the proximity and also the site's proximity to the Retro Row corridor, I do feel that the conditions of approval adequately satisfied the need for shielding any anatomical areas if there were to be tattooing done during the day or when children are present. And it also, the floor plans seem to include low barrier walls, which address that concern. And then the other conditions of approval related doing ID checks as well as prohibiting certain marijuana and alcohol. All of those are standard requirements of all our tattoo parlors, irregardless of its location to a school or another tattoo parlor. So I do feel like with the conditions of approval included, we can make all the required findings. In reviewing the draft conditions, I do want to make two formal additions that just formalize some of the requirements and the standard requirements that we have on there. And one is just to put a condition that says the tattoo parlor does have to follow all Title V requirements for tattoo parlors in addition to Title 21. Title V is where all our business regulations lie. It is inherent that whenever you get a business license for a tattoo parlor, you do have to follow those requirements. I just want to make sure to memorialize that. It's a pretty standard condition we've been placing on a lot of our AUPs for tattoo parlors. So that is one condition I'd like to just add in for cross-reference. And that's especially because AUPs run with the land, not with the business. So if a new tattoo parlor wanted to come in, I want to make sure they're aware of all the regulations that may have been applied here. And then the second condition I do want to add is making sure that when you hire, and we'll open it up for the operator as well, when you hire new tattoo artists, that they're provided a copy with the conditions so they can understand the operating hours, certain provisions, just to make sure we encourage compliance. In addition, if you ever have any independent contractors, sometimes they have to get their own booth rental business license, making sure that they're not surprised when we ask them if they're aware of those conditions. So with that, I want to make sure, can we unmute or give Derek and Cassandra an opportunity if they're okay with the additions of those two standardish conditions?
No issue on my end.
Okay. I just want to make sure Cassandra has the opportunity as well.
No issue at all here either.
Okay, great. Yeah, I don't want anybody to be surprised when they operate within one of your booths, or as an employee, we want to make sure everybody complies. So with that, I do move to accept the categorical exemption and approve the administrative use permit with the addition of two conditions. The first is to provide a standard reference to Title V and Title 21 provisions for tattoo. And the second condition, just to make sure all employees or subcontractors are made aware of the conditions upon employment and or getting a booth rental business license. So with that, I move to approve this item with conditions. We did not receive any public comment or testimony, but I will say that is a 10-day appeal period. So if you have any objection to the two additional conditions or the approval, you do have 10 days to appeal that to the Planning Commission. With that, this is the only hearing item for today, and we can go ahead and close today's hearing. The next scheduled zoning administrator hearing is on September 8th. Once again, that is a virtual hybrid format and will be held via Zoom. Thank you very much for all your time.